Yo, hello. How are you guys doing? Everyone doing all right? Let me quickly take the laptop somewhere else so I can see the chat better. Missed ya, Duck? I mean, I've been around. I haven't been gone for too long. Just not been tweeting. Congrats on the kid. Thanks. Hello, Papa Duck. You guys are cute. Appreciate it. Yeah, all good. All good. No one told me that the whole process would be so traumatic, but we got through it. Dude, the stuff women have to go through, Jesus Christ. Send a gift to your mom on Mother's Day. That's all I can say. How's life as a dad? It's good. I mean, I have it pretty easy. The little one isn't really crying too much, if at all. The only thing she does is eat, and that's the only reason why I'm tired, because she just wants to eat. Which is quite wild. She's gained like 250 grams in the last 2.5 days. So, yeah. And she wasn't light to begin with. So, yeah, quite wild. Hugs to the whole family, and thank your wife for letting you join us for the stream. I will do. While baby is choosing, yeah, she's going wild. Like eating every 45 minutes to an hour for 20 minutes, which is a little bit a lot. During the night she's sleeping though, so that's cool. Anyway, we can talk about that later. I'm not gonna do too much of a stream because I actually want to get to bed. Stereotypical, I know, but yeah, I've been awake very late into the night yesterday. Not because she was crying, but because she just wanted to be fed till 2 in the night, and I had to make sure that my missus wasn't gonna fall asleep while feeding her. You always say that. I love it. Yeah. Congrats, bro. Army of Ducklings incoming. Yeah, we'll see about that. I'm proper traumatized. But yeah, before we start the show, big shout out to Woo for sponsoring the show. Quite nice of them. Appreciate their support. They do have like a few competitions / deposit like things going on, where if you deposit, you have a chance to win. Like if you deposit more than 100, I think, and a bunch of other shit that you should go check out. I'm not really super informed because I haven't been around too much, but they're doing some cool shit. So go check them out. Link is in the description. And yeah, thanks for the support. Hope you the best, Don. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. So yeah, that's that. Let's get into it. There's really not that much to talk about, honestly. Deposit. Fuck if I know, dude. I'm German. I'm German on little sleep. You can be happy that I can even talk. But then again, like, Cred speaks like 10 languages, so I have no excuses. But still. Your Litecoin's not looking good, bruv. I sold my Litecoin like ages ago, but I've still like people are like, "Oh, Don, you're such a Chad." Like Litecoin went up a shitload, like, and I was like, "Dude, I sold weeks ago." Deposit, whatever. I'll say it how I want to say it. It's a good place to buy Litecoin. I don't know. I don't know why people are buying Litecoin now. It seems like a really, really bad place. You don't want to buy into the halving. Historically, it just dumps. And I mean, I sold I sold into 90, like whatever, 95. It dumped, and I just played Bitcoin, and it did have like a little bit of a pump, but you couldn't pay me to long this. Like, I don't understand why people are super interested in Litecoin now that halving is like just a few weeks away. Historically, that's not been the best, and altcoins in general don't look too good. So I'm not interested. But maybe there's something there, right? Maybe Litecoin's gonna be the one, but not for me. I made my money with Litecoin. Bought it at 60, sold it at like almost 100, bought it back like a couple times, like traded back and forth. I don't need to get the last legs. But we'll talk about altcoins briefly, because honestly, there's not that much to talk about. They all look like shit, besides like one or two outliers that pump and then dump anyway. So yeah. Let's go over Bitcoin first, and we can talk about the altcoins. So Bitcoin's consolidating above resistance right now. The problem that I have with this whole thing is that, in my opinion, the whole ETF thing is big enough that it should have pumped already. The fact that it hasn't has me worried. But just technically speaking, I mean, there's two sides to this thing, right? Technically speaking, this is okay. It's consolidating in an area where it makes sense to consolidate, right? This is basically the previous range low acting as resistance here, and that makes sense. That's why you would expect a little bit of a pause. So like the technical's not that bad, as long as it holds 29k on a closing basis. I think this looks okay. If it closes below, it would look bad, not necessarily because of the chart, just based on the fact that this is a news-driven pump, right? Like, we had a bunch of bad news, those were driving price down. Now we had a bunch of good news, and those were driving prices up. The fact of the matter is, if you retrace a bunch of that, that whole pump gets like vulnerable, and people are gonna wonder like if that narrative is actually like a good one. So as long as we're holding 29k, all looks good in this. Nothing to complain about. If we lose it, I could see this cascade a little bit. I think that cascade you would want to be buying, but generally think we're kind of in an area where it could go either way, because like in here is where we decide between a shitty market that we have been in and like a really good one up here. I think above like 33, 34k. At that point, you get back into the all-time high range, and that wouldn't be the worst in the world, right? Even if you get a pullback, that's something you want to buy, and then you can like realistically start talking about 60k, for example, which you obviously cannot do right now. So if it shows a little bit more strength, starts looking quite good. Right now, it's right in between a bunch of stuff, and it's right at resistance, and it's also right at support, but the trend's been down. So you have to like kind of pick your battles wisely. And I had a really good entry that I closed before going to the hospital, and I'm not planning on re-entering here. Like, I'm down to buy. Like, if we go to 40k and then pull back, that's something that I would want to buy. And I think that was very likely at that point. Like, if you go to 40k, like a pullback to 35, something like that would make sense to me. But also, if we kind of go below 24.7k at that point, it would be an overreaction, right? Because basically what I think that could happen is, if you retrace any of this pump, people that took on risk just based on the ETF news would get spooked, and I think then you could see prices go lower than they should be, and that just makes for a good trade, right? So people would be forced out of positions and kind of start doubting before move higher. So those are the kind of two areas that I'm interested in buying, as in if we go up, I'm going to look for the first retrace. If we go down, I'm going to look for quite a bit down, as in this box down here. 21, 22, 23K. I think that's attractive. Anything else is quite tough. And yeah, I don't mind missing out here on 10%. I've caught the move from basically 16 all the way down up to 30K, and I caught most of this move as well, from like mid 20s to above 30K. So I'm not too interested in gambling here on upside. And but shorting I wouldn't want to do either. So I'm just kind of like sitting here. It's good. The market is shit. Not interesting to trade, and so I can focus on other things, which just kind of is quite good for me in the current situation. Obviously, I'm not buying before it breaks out from the 69K range. Until then, it's all manipulation. Fair enough. I think if it breaks out from 69K, you might get 80K, and then the cycle tops in. And I know it's a joke, but still. Anyway, so yeah, that's the weekly time frame. It's a little bit stuck in no man's land, stuck in an area that's just not interesting. And is it possible the SEC asking BlackRock for clarification spook people? No, that was very expected. Like everyone that knew a little bit about this knew that they would. So that was very expected. I don't think anyone was surprised. It just seems like there's not that much of a risk appetite for people to jump in. And the interesting part is, right, like if this plays out bearishly, the interesting part is that we still have the ETF tailwind, and that makes buying so much easier. It's just so that means that if we get a wipe, that wipe is a clear buy. If we don't get a wipe, so be it, right? But in general, I think it makes sense to look for buys. It's just in this area, it just doesn't seem like a good place. On the daily time frame, we're doing something interesting today, which is basically we broke out and faded it today. So if we don't close back above 30.7K today, that starts looking like a false breakout. And then you would historically just kind of look for lower. And bears have a pretty easy game then. Like anyone that short yesterday just slaps the stop loss above the high and can kind of move it down lower. And bulls, like, I have a pretty tough time given like where's your invalidation. It would have to be below 29K, and that's just kind of shit trade. So right now doesn't look too good, doesn't look bad, honestly. My gut feeling is that this will go down, but it's not a strong gut feeling, and I'm definitely not shorting based on it. So might as well just, like, the best thing in my opinion to do is just chill, and that's why I'm just chilling. So BlackRock ETF filing is denied only once. Yes, it's likely to pass, I think. Which is why I'm saying, like, that's a tailwind, right? You want to have, like, that's a good thing to have on your side. If this flushes, and it's crypto, can always flush, that's a buy. And if it doesn't flush, like, proper momentum is also buy. So I'm saying this is a buy. It just depends on the price and on the momentum. But yeah, and I think if we lose 29.4K on the daily time frame, starts looking ugly as well. So those are kind of the levels to watch for when it starts getting shitty, which I could see, honestly. Wouldn't be surprised if this turned ugly for at least a little bit. Especially given that the S&P is at monthly resistance, right? Traded all the way into monthly resistance and is now trading in that cluster. If there's ever going to be a lower high on the S&P, it's going to be here. So I've been like saying like, hey, it makes sense to be bullish crypto and anything because the S&P is at support down like here. Well, now it's at resistance, right? So but I'm not hating, but in general, like, I don't want to give advice on how to short altcoins. I think that's a little shit game. Oh shit! Did I just nuke? I think I should be back. Odd. I haven't had internet problems in a long time. Okay, so what's the last thing you guys heard? So I can go over it again. Can't hear you. Should be able to. But yeah, I was just talking about Bitcoin. I mean, how long was I gone? Not that long, I think. It's okay now. Yeah. Still need someone to tell me like roughly what I was talking about. 30 seconds, okay. So I was still talking about Doge. I mean, you can short this thing if you want to. It's just you need to be able to withstand like random pumps. I don't think it's necessarily the smartest play to be this late in the cycle to short stuff in the altcoin world. But then again, I'm not bullish on altcoins. Okay, so yeah. So yeah, we're like, okay, a bunch of people are telling me different spots where it nuked, which is very useful. But yeah, I was talking about S&P at resistance. It made sense to me to be bullish stuff at support. It makes sense to be more cautious at resistance, right? And with regards to Bitcoin, like I'll just give a quick summary for the people that missed something. Technical's not that bad. It's in the middle of nowhere right now, a little bit higher, and it's going to look good. If it goes a little bit lower, it's going to look atrocious, and it's probably going to wipe a bunch of positions. And that's it. With regards to altcoins, right? Let's go over ETH real quick. ETH kind of looks shit too. It's been in a downtrend. I was almost excited when we had this move up here, but it never closed a higher high. And just keeps on making new lows. So that's the strongest altcoin. That's the altcoin market leader, and it's bleeding. And as long as that is the case, it's like a little bit of a tough market in the altcoin world. And I think if you're gonna look for altcoin or like for altcoin strength in general, or for ETH strength, look at that diagonal that I have here. I think the longer this goes on, the more interesting this gets. So basically, if this nukes here, goes straight down, then well, supports at like 4.5, 0.04.5, 0.045, whatever. Jesus Christ. Sorry, I'm a little bit out of it. If it consolidates longer, it's going to be at 0.05. If it consolidates even longer, it's going to be high up, right? So I think like in general, the value, like where you want to be buying ETH versus Bitcoin goes up over time. So got to be a little bit patient. And we're not quite there yet. And I will change my view on this the moment we make a new high, right? So if we made something like this, I would want to be buying, because then I think it would go up. But until that happens, I'm just going to assume it's going to dump. And even the more the favorites, the crowd favorites, kind of look like shit. Like people have been asking in the chat about Solana. It's for some reason the next coin below ETH on my list. If you draw a line, and I've had this line for a long time now, through the price action of Solana versus Bitcoin, it just shows a massive downtrend, right? And it just closed a new low. So high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low. So that is clearly trending down, and I'm not really interested in buying something that it's not even like, if it did something like this again, I'm down, right? I'm down to buy it, because I think that just seems interesting. But unless it does something like that, or unless it breaks some market structure, it's just bearish. And there's going to be 10, 20, 30, 40% pumps along the way. But for longer swing positions, there's nothing there that really interests me, especially given like a bunch of people are asking me about altcoins, right? And the thing is, like, the ETF news that we got is literally just Bitcoin specific. So why is everyone looking at altcoins? Just look at Bitcoin. Like, if you want to have a good trade Bitcoin. If you want to have like, if anything, the guy that like was like looking for those short has it more figured out than all these altcoin asking people, because on relative terms, altcoins are probably not going to do too well. And I know we had a bunch of pumps. I can talk about something real quick. Like, I was trading Bitcoin Cash before I left. I was like, this is not done yet. Here at 200, like I was late to this pump at 200. I was like, okay, like it went up, it went down again. I was like, oh shit, I think this is gonna go quite a bit higher. So bought at 200, and then kind of realized that I was gonna have to go to the hospital real fast, or real soon, and sold at 190, like a pleb, and came back to Bitcoin Cash trading at 330, which is what it is. I don't really mind too much, but people have been asking me for like trades that haven't gone too well. I mean, that was one of them. Not really my fault, I think. I just didn't want to think about it, but yeah, that one cost me a little bit, even though I was completely right. When Cam, never. Nope, thanks. In general, like, I don't think I'm trying to be like more into the whole influencer thing. If anything, I'm trying to phase it out, right? So enjoy it while I'm here, because it's not gonna be forever. That's what I'm saying. I am gonna retire from Twitter and the whole social media thing whenever I feel like it, and I feel like every day it's getting a little bit closer. How about Litecoin halving? Still a good trade? No, I think that's a little bit too close for comfort. Like, I don't want to take that trade. Just basically plot the Litecoin halvings that we've had on the chart and see how far away from, like, how long before the Litecoin halving Litecoin did well, and you will see why I'm just not that interested. So yeah. Yeah, that was something. But I think that Bitcoin Cash trade is also done. The Litecoin trade also done, in my opinion. I'd be surprised if that kept on outperforming Bitcoin. I think that's basically it. It did have like a little bit of a halving pump, a little bit of like squeezing people, but I think that's basically it. So I'm not too positive on Litecoin. Not like, if I was looking for shorts, I'd be shorting Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash, which are the stronger ones, which kind of like I usually wouldn't do. But in this case, I think their narratives have run their course. But like I said, I'm not shorting anything, so it is what it is. But yeah, in general, the ETF news that has been driving the market up is Bitcoin centric. If you're looking for altcoin longs, there has to be a really good reason for it. Like, for example, the Litecoin halving that we used to have, I don't think it's a good trade anymore. But if you have like a reason like that, it's okay. And you're going to get, like, there's good money to be made. But until then, unless that's a really, really good reason, it doesn't really make much sense. Same with Pepe. Like, I've seen a bunch of people be super excited. That had a good run. Yeah, this one I actually, like, if I had to make a choice, I'd much rather short Litecoin Bitcoin Cash over Pepe, even though I really dislike this coin. Don, would you catch an iPhone ETH like low time frame here? No. Nope. I mean, if I would, I would. Like, if you're asking me like, hey Don, would you be taking a trade here? Well, I'm not in a trade, so obviously I wouldn't. Otherwise, I would be in a trade. No, with ETH, we closed our resistance. We closed exactly at resistance, and yeah, it's been underperforming Bitcoin. So it's at resistance. It's been underperforming Bitcoin. If like the hope for ETH would basically be Bitcoin pumping, so that you can pump through this resistance, so you can squeeze a bunch of shorts. I think that's the way where you make where you might make more money on ETH than on Bitcoin, but only temporarily. Are you making any financial plans for your kids' future? If so, what are they? If you're open to share with other new dads? No, nothing specific. Should I? I mean, I don't know. I would want my children to live a normal life. I think. Like, I don't know. I always found people that have too much money, especially from a young age, just kind of turn out shit. So it's not necessarily gonna be how I'm gonna do things. What about shorting store? Like shorting altcoins, it depends. Like I'm not shorting any altcoins. I generally don't short altcoins. But I mean, if you short the wrong altcoin, you're gonna be down. Like even if you don't use leverage 100% in like an hour, if you're just shorting the wrong coin. So asking me, the guy that isn't in position, like if I had a position, fair enough, but I don't have a position, so I don't think it makes much sense. Like I said, if anything, like the few coins that I'm looking at, like Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash, those are the ones that make a little bit of sense to me, because I think they basically played out, as in like the shorts kind of got blown out completely, and the narratives played out too. And I'm saying this at Litecoin support at 100. So maybe it bounces from here and goes to 200. But like it's just too close for me to the halving. And the same with Bitcoin Cash. I think that narrative's just kind of shitty. So like if you're shorting altcoins, be very, very sure that you know exactly what you're doing, because otherwise you're just gonna lose all your money. I want my kids to have a normal life, but I also want to have a castle. Yeah, I mean, you can kind of do, like, I don't know, you can kind of do both somewhat. Just raise them normally. You don't need to have like, I don't know, like I've seen too many rich kids be shit. I would just live a normal life and plan on doing so anyway. Like not a normal life, but not like one where I'm like, I don't know, flexing my riches, which are limited anyway. But yeah, like I said, be a little bit careful with the shorts. But the market, like you can see that there's money flowing out of the market constantly. Stable coins have been reducing. Bitcoin dominance has been going up, while Bitcoin hasn't really been gaining too much. And NFTs have completely gone to zero, right? So a bunch of people are basically taking money out of the market. So kind of have to ask yourself why, right? Because you would guess, like if Bitcoin was going up during all of this, would be one thing, but right now it's basically like Bitcoin holding steady while the entire market bleeds to death. So people take profit into Bitcoin and it still doesn't go up. It's a little bit of an odd one. I don't want to be too doomerish because the chart is decent. But yeah, that's basically the reason why my gut feeling is like that we might go down. NFTs still have a nice bounce though. Yeah, but I mean, if you go down 90% or like 95% and you go up like 30 or 40%, it's meaningless bounce at the end of the day. Like imagine you start with $1 and then you have 5 cents and then your 5 cents double. And you'd be like, dude, I'm such a king. I doubled my money. But like that bounce is meaningless, completely meaningless. Only for the people that only played the bounce is that bounce meaningful. Like as in if you bought the bottom without having been involved in the entire dumpage. But yeah, if you dump a large amount, you usually get a large bounce. But it's not going to be large bounce relatively. For example, Bored Apes, right? They went from like 100 ETH floor to 20 something, right? And now they went from 20 something to 31 or 32 floor. And then you could say, hey, if I don't actually know exactly where it bottomed, but if it was 25, right, from 25, or like, yeah, let's say 25. If it bounces from 25 to 30, you'd be like, holy shit, like that's quite the bounce percentage-wise. But it changes nothing for the holder. But yeah, I mean, obviously there's trades. There's always trades if stuff dies too hard. Because what basically happens usually is if you have a sell-off, you have a bunch of liquidity here, and then it just teleports for a good chunk. And the place where it teleports and where basically there's no liquidity, like there's a bunch of people just getting stopped the fuck out. And if you kind of get into position somewhere there, it usually just bounces basically where the liquidity stopped being there, and then either continues or not. So sometimes you have like this massive nuke, and basically what happens oftentimes is that it comes back to the place where it accelerated and goes down again, and this is possibly quite a large move, right? So if this capitulates really hard, you get like a really big move up, and then you either have a bottom or not. But like playing that bounce can be quite good, but you have to time it right. But yeah, it's interesting. We're in an interesting spot because it basically decides whether like the altcoins are gonna go to complete shit or not. Because I think if Bitcoin goes below 29K, you're gonna see massive carnage in the altcoin world, and then there might be some trades to be had. But I could even see that be too early. So altcoins, I'm not really interested. I could be wrong. I don't really care too much. Like when you're wrong on altcoins, like, oh well, you just missed a trade. If you're wrong on Bitcoin, it's gonna be hard to get back into it. So like if I'm wrong on Bitcoin, I'm gonna be more upset than on altcoins, because at the end of the day, the altcoins are gonna go back down again. With Bitcoin, you're never sure. But yeah, that's that. I don't really think there's much more, and I really want to get a nap in or just go to sleep straight up. So I think I'll call it a day. But yeah, appreciate you guys coming by. Appreciate all the nice comments and well wishes and everything. Do appreciate that. Big shout out also to Woo for sponsoring the show. Like I said, they have like a deposit bonus and a trading bonus and trading competitions and all that kind of stuff going on right now. So you should go check that out. I'm sure there's going to be something for you. And if not, also cool. Yeah. Thanks, Don. All the best for the family. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. And yeah. Talk to you guys soon. There's going to be a Friday episode anyway with Cred and me. And yeah, that's going to be a fun one, I'm sure. He's going to, I don't know, he's going to roast me probably. I always deserve to be roasted. But yeah, thanks for coming by. See you guys soon. Bye-bye.